the current regime is doing, the killings of our young people, the harassment and abductions of people, it is a clear sign that this government that is led by people who are known to have opposed any changes in this country is not up to any good in terms of respecting the rights of the citizens. The other clear sign, I want to summarize because there isn't really much time, is also the undermining of some of the gains in terms of socio-economic safety nets that have been implemented over the years by our previous leaders who have made it possible for many of our people, especially people from poor families, to be able to access education and be able to have a dream of social mobility. And I'm happy this funding model is one of the key issues to be discussed this afternoon, where this government, very myopic, very nihilistic, short-sighted government that doesn't see the value of preparing our young people to be able to play their role in this country by removing the benefits that have been there from the time of Kenyatta up to now. The only guarantee for poor people to be able to get jobs, to access opportunities, was that route of education. Now it is all being dismantled. And it is being dismantled without any proper process being followed. All we are being given are excuses and useless explanations. There is no country in the world that I want you to check all the education systems, even in the developed countries where there are richer people than a developing country than Kenya, where parents are required to finance from their pockets higher education. Even in the United States of America, it is a loan system, a system where government funds education for young people because individual families cannot afford to fund higher education. This is what happens everywhere. Now we are being told here, we have categories of rich people, and then students are being put in categories of families, and salaries of families are being looked into. Yet when you look at those salaries, if you look at the people who are employed in government or even the private sector, it's a very small population. So it's a total conmanship that is being implemented, that is intended to completely make it impossible for people to go to school in this country, and we must fight it. And I'm happy the young people are fighting it. We must also fight it, and I'm happy that power, and I want to finish by saying that don't be cheated by public relations exercises or meetings where you are called for meetings in town halls to discuss something that has already been passed, that has already been implemented, that is already being implemented. They are just window dressing exercises intended to delay you in demanding that the old system that was guaranteeing everybody social mobility continues. And therefore we are totally, as MIO, totally opposed to this system that is intended, like many other policies that are being implemented by this government, intended to exclude vulnerable people, exclude poorer families from accessing education. And they did all the policies this government has been implementing that is making sure that the money is left with them kuendelea kupora vile wanapora, na tunajua ile wanataka kuendelea ni hiyo uporaji. Kwa hivyo sisi tumesema tunasimama na nyinyi, tutaendelea pamoja kuhakikisha hiyo policy mpya ya masomo haifui ndafu. Asanteni sana.
Asante. Wapi makofi kwa Bwana Munya? Sisi kule Western tukisema tunasema tawe. Sema tawe. Ufisadi? Ufisadi? Ukabila? Karibu ndugu yetu Jeremiah Kioni, karibu. Huyu ndio enzi wetu wa Jubilee. Na mkimuona hapa, mmemuona Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta. Karibu.
Communist power. When we gave ourselves the 2010 constitution, or build up to it, there were more than three, but 4 important issues that really formed what gave us that push. One of them was the Bill of Rights. The second one was the issue of multi-party democracy. The third one was sharing of the resources. And of course, key among them was also the electoral process. Today, these are still issues that are yearning for better governance, issues that still require us to ensure that the retro gains that we got through our constitution, they are not retro, but the gains we got through this constitution, we protect them and ensure that those who are out to elude them, we fight them and resist them. When nimefaa hii kofia deliberately kwa sababu nilikuwa nimefaa sufuria na mpaka wa leo nafaa sufuria. Now when I was wearing this sufuria then and now, one of the things we were talking about was one, the cost of living, which was completely thrown through the window by the current gangster regime that we have in power. The other thing was we used to say open the server. And we were saying open the server, not because of anything else, but to some of us, if we were going to address the shortcomings of our electoral process, the shortcomings that give us problems every cycle, every time we go for voting, we need to know exactly what happens when results are posted. These gadgets we use, which one of it is being manipulated, or what is it that happens? I know William Ruto and his group will soon start telling us that they are implementing electoral reforms. I want to tell you, without opening the server, you will never be able to address the shortcomings in our electoral process. And he is not ready to do that. You can actually see the delay that he is already having in setting up the IEBC. He is the one who, first of all, ensured that we had no commissioners, and he is happy to stay that way for 2 years now, and I can assure you he will be happy to stay that way for another 3rd year. He wants us to address the issue of electoral reforms in a crisis so that he can try and see whether he can manipulate it. Hapo beleni, kabla ya katiba ya 2010, watu walikuwa wamesema, kama umesoma, tumesoma. Hello? Si ilikuwa namna hiyo? What they don't know now ni kwamba kila Gen Z na kila Mkenya amejisomea katiba. We know, we all have read it. And it surprises me to see members of parliament who have not read this katiba. Na wako kule na wanasumama mbele yetu kila siku kutuambia mambo ambayo haieleweki. Let me give you 1 or 2 examples. The other day, wale ambao wako katika Jubilee wakiongozwa na Sabina Chege, they said that they want Jubilee Party to be a standalone parliamentary party. Hawakusoma katiba, wajua ya kwamba the constitution talks of a minority and majority. So when you become a standalone parliamentary party, what does that mean? You are in a situation that is not provided for in this constitution, and I want to tell them that now, and Babu, you can go and educate them. When it comes to allocating slots like the ones of IEBC, a standalone parliamentary party has no law. It is the minority and the majority. And many other positions, because we don't have time, many other of such slots that will come, they have cut themselves out and the areas they represent. Wetangula. Mnasema ni papa wa wapi? Roma gani? Wetangula, the constitution says that the majority in parliament are as reflected during the voting day. When we vote, we Kenyans determine the majority and the minority. Kenya Gazette ambayo iliwekwa ilitagaza Ruto kama ndio atiarienda State House. The same Kenya Gazette declared Azimio majority in parliament. Wetangula led the president correctly kulingana na vile alikuwa ameagana hapo bereni kabla ya kupiga kura. But when it came to the issue of minority and majority, akasoma minority UDA became the majority on the floor. Up to today, the Kenya Gazette still reads the majority on the floor is Azimio. Forget about the shenanigans, including the broad-based things. If you want to go to, and I know there are people already in court, even the budgets that have been done are unconstitutional because they have been made by the wrong group. The majority side of parliament is the one that's supposed to have done the budget, not the minority. I'll give you another example of another character you must deal with. By the way, Weta is a disaster. Wetangula na yeye na wakili mmoja ambaye anaheshimika Kenya hii, but he is, I know because I've dealt with him when I was dealing with maneno ya Jubilee, but he is really one of the fellows undermining this constitution and one of the people we must keep away from any amendment that you may have in your thinking. Juzi nimeenda Murang'a na nilipoenda Murang'a, 2 members of parliament said the 2023 finance bill was like a Bible, so we could not read every part of the clause that was in it. That is why we tulipitisha na vitu zingine zinawaumiza. Ebu sikizeni, shame on you. You were elected to represent the people, including in making of the budget. And then unakuja kuambia wale walikupigia kura ati finance bill ilikuwa kama Biblia, singeweza kuisoma yote. Saa hiyo watu wamepigwa kodi ya maavocado, makadamia, ng'ombe zinahesabiwa ni ngapi, na wewe ndio ulipitisha. And then they have no regard for public participation. You know what has happened in in that area. Jamani, kuna jamaa mwingine hapa, Office of Registrar of Political Parties. If you don't pay attention to how she is undermining our constitution, even those of you seated here who would want to become leaders tomorrow, your goose is cooked. She is being used day and night, and she has already been used to ensure that what we fought for in terms of multi-party democracy has already, we are actually losing the gains. But if we stand up like we are doing, we will be able to stop it. I want to tell you that when Kibaki said free primary education, hakukuwa hata hakuwa ameangalia budget. Hakuwa ameangalia budget. Mguu yake moja ilikuwa juu kwa hewa, mkono ilikuwa juu kwa hewa, because he had come from an accident. The person who was in charge of us there was then our vice president then, Mheshimiwa Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. Why? Because he realized a population that is not educated will be very easy to be manipulated. We had been manipulated for 24 years by Moi. Ruto thinks that he can organize the education system so that he can create another population he can manipulate. Sahau. Sahau. Hapa hakuna hapo, like Mheshimiwa Kalonzo says, #Wajinga walikwisha Kenya. That funding model ambayo wameileta ni ubeberu anaturudi. He does not want educated population. He fears you having led the constitution for yourselves. So we want to produce another generation of people wenye hawajasoma ili awachezee vile waliwachezea. If it wasn't for Gen Z, what you did from the 25th of June to date, we will not be seated here today. Tulikuwa tumepelekwa hapa kama baiskeli ya kuibiwa. Kuru, every time. And he has not stopped. I want to tell you my fear of yesterday. On top of what Kaguta President Kaguta said. I have a feeling that hiyo kitu ya jana, Ruto was launching himself for Nyanza. See, Baba, he was launching himself to go to Nyanza for purposes of winning elections 2027. Raila Odinga, be very careful with one William Samoe Ruto. I have a feeling he is playing you. I have a feeling he is playing you. Immediately kutoka State House ako Nyanza. Sahi. So that function of yesterday was for him to launch himself into Nyanza. Pure and simple. And when he goes to Nyanza, he goes to launch projects that are already launched. Na yeye mwenyewe alikuwa amesahau. Wapi Marani? Asimame kwa this. Don't leave. Yeah. Haya, mambo mawili matatu. JKI, Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Hello? Imeuzwa bila bunge kuulizwa. Hata sijui kama wangeulizwa wangejua, lakini iliuzwa. Ruto ameuza. We want to tell those who bought, be very careful. When we come to power, we will not recognize that sale. Hii ni barabara kule Kisii. Ruto was there launching it 2 weeks ago. Inapita pale inaitwa Ragogo, inaenda mpaka Nyakoe. RW 652. RWC 652. This road, the other contractors are in court. The contractor on site does not have a contract. He is the highest bidder. His bid is higher by more than $1 billion. He had 2 companies bidding for the same road. So he ensured that one bid was higher than the other one. And that one, who is a foreigner to the other 2, was denied an opportunity to do the road with a lesser figure of 1 billion shillings. Hiyo 1 billion imeshakuliwa. Contractor ako site. Hana contract. Hii kitu iko kotini. The courts have said, and they have told the director of roads, your work is to save public funds. Be very careful, because this can get you in trouble. Hii tutasukumana naye, na sio kwa sababu tuwatupendi watu ya Kisii, lakini tunapenda Kenya. Lazima tuokoe katiba na tuokoe Kenya. Hii barua naye this letter was written on the 14th of November 2023, last year. 14th November 2023. And the telephone number of the person who wrote is also here. It is in regard to a lady called Wairimu Mwangi. And her ID number is here 7185-2134. Ngoja kidogo. Hold it. Now, it is difficult to salimia this one. I'll tell you why. Wairimu died last year. She is an old lady. She died when she was undergoing treatment at Kenyatta National Hospital. She left a bill of 1.406 thousand. The family has no capacity to raise a coin. She is still at Kenyatta mortuary. 1 year later, the family has not buried Wairimu. Na tuko na watu wanasema wako kwa serikali Kenya hii. They have tried all they can, but they cannot reach anybody. Ninataka kuuliza kwa sababu sasa wanaweza kibidi na tunataka wamsaidie. And I want to say this. Sisemi hivyo ndio mtu yote hapa atoe pesa alipe. That kind of populism is what has given us problem in this country. The government has resources to pay or to waive this 1.4 million shillings and allow the family of Wairimu to bury their shosho. If we do not allow, we are not careful to check on the gains we have in this constitution, we have very many Wairimos in mortuary. Those who cannot be able to reach anybody are very many. A system that has collapsed, like the one we have with William Samoei Ruto. He is even relaunching himself. Every day he is relaunching himself. Kila saa. It's a very dangerous thing that we have. If we do not fight for the multi-party democracy that we thought we got it when we had the constitution, pia tuko na shida. I'm saying all these things kwa sababu pengine Wamaru walikuwa wamesahau. Mimi nilikuwa kati ya mmoja wale walikuwa Naivasha kwa hii mambo ya katiba. Allow me to call this gentleman to stand up. Sumama tu. 1997. This gentleman led demonstration in Kenyatta University. He was expelled from the university. It is our leader, opposition leader, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, when he became the vice president of the Republic of Kenya, who put him back to the university. The reason why he was being expelled, the reason why he was expelled, as I finish, was because he led the demonstration, because my own nephew had been killed by the Moi regime during the tribal clashes. Up to today, no justice. Same thing with the young people who were killed during the Gen Z protest and the people who were killed during the Azimio. Up to today, broad-based government, I never wore the safuria mtu apatiwe cheo kwa serikali. That is nonsense. And you must be ashamed of yourself if you are holding an office on account of a dead young man somewhere.